Gentlemen, let me hit you with the truth right out of the gate. The moment you stop giving a damn is the moment everything changes. Not just with her, but with your mindset, your energy, your power. You see, too many men are caught in a trap, chasing her approval, walking on eggshells, overanalyzing every text, trying to be the nice guy she never truly chooses. And here's the kicker. She can feel it. She senses the desperation. And nothing is more unattractive to a woman than a man who has lost his center chasing her validation. Now let's get into the 5 brutal truths behind why you must stop giving a damn, and why she couldn't handle it when you finally do. When you stop giving a damn, something powerful happens. You begin to embody true emotional independence. This doesn't mean you become cold or careless. It means you are no longer emotionally dependent on her attention, her responses, or her validation. Most men operate from a place of need. They need her to text back quickly, need her to approve of them, need her to constantly affirm their worth. And when that doesn't happen, they spiral, becoming anxious, reactive, or worse, needy. But the man who doesn't give a damn doesn't operate on her emotional schedule. He's grounded in himself. Emotional independence is magnetic. It signals confidence, stability, and strength. When a woman senses that you're not shaken by her silence or absence, she starts to look at you differently. You're no longer one of the many men orbiting around her, waiting for a crumb of attention. You stand out because you're focused on your own life. You're not seeking approval. You already have it from yourself. That kind of energy is rare, and women are naturally drawn to it. They can't help but be intrigued by the man who seems completely unaffected. Not because he's playing a game, but because he genuinely doesn't need her to feel whole. This shift creates a dynamic where she begins to invest more effort. When she senses that your attention is no longer guaranteed, she starts working for it. But by then, you're no longer chasing. You've stepped into your masculine core, and that's where your power lies. So, the less you chase, the more you attract. Emotional independence is not about being aloof, it's about being self-sufficient. And once you master that, you stop chasing love and start choosing it from a place of strength. That's when the game truly changes. When you stop giving a damn, you disrupt a pattern she's used to relying on. Most women are accustomed to having emotional control in a relationship. Knowing you'll always respond, always care, always show up regardless of how they treat you. When you break that expectation, it shocks her system. It challenges the idea that she can take you for granted. That disruption forces her to reevaluate your role in her life, because now she's not so sure where she stands with you. You're no longer a predictable source of attention, and unpredictability breeds interest. The shift in dynamic catches her off guard. Suddenly, she starts to notice your absence. She starts to feel the weight of the space you used to fill. Your silence is louder than any words you could say. And in that silence, she begins to wonder what's changed. The attention she once felt entitled to has disappeared, and with it, the power she thought she held. This is where curiosity starts to build. It's not about playing games. It's about reclaiming your self-worth and no longer investing in someone who doesn't reciprocate. Women are emotional creatures, and when you remove your emotional energy from them, it creates a vacuum. That absence becomes louder than presence ever was. It makes them reflect on what they've lost. Maybe they didn't respect you when you were always available, but now they question why you're not. And in that questioning, a shift begins. If she ever cared, even slightly, your emotional withdrawal will hit her. And if she didn't, then you've saved yourself from wasting any more time. Either way, disrupting her expectations puts the power back in your hands. You're not punishing her. You're just refusing to play the same role. That's how real respect is either earned or lost. When you stop over-investing in someone who doesn't return the same energy, you begin redirecting that time, attention, and effort into yourself. And this is where everything changes. Most men get stuck in a loop of chasing validation, believing that if they just do more, show more love, or prove they're worth enough, she'll finally appreciate them. But the truth is, the more you chase, the more she runs. The dynamic becomes one-sided, and she senses that imbalance. It doesn't make her feel more connected. It makes her feel like she has power over someone who doesn't value himself enough. When you pull back and focus that energy inward, everything shifts. You become less emotionally reactive, more grounded, and more in control. You stop living based on her responses and start living based on your own purpose. Women can feel that. They notice when a man is driven by something bigger than their attention. They feel it in your presence when you're not desperate for connection, but centered in yourself. That energy is magnetic, not because you're ignoring her, but because you're no longer attached to the outcome. Investing in yourself means you're building your life regardless of whether she stays or walks. It's confidence without arrogance. You become the kind of man who doesn't need her. He chooses her. And that subtle shift is powerful. Suddenly, you're not the one seeking validation. You're the one offering stability, direction, and purpose. You're harder to shake, more mysterious, and more attractive. A woman may not consciously say it, but she feels it deep in her gut when a man is focused on building himself. She respects it. She's drawn to it. And in many cases, it's exactly what pulls her back, even when she thought she was done. When you stop giving a damn and truly detach from the outcome, you regain your emotional independence. And this shakes up the dynamic in ways most men never expect. Women are incredibly intuitive when it comes to emotional energy. When they sense that your mood, your decisions, or even your self-worth is tied to them, it creates pressure. That pressure can lead to resentment or a desire to pull away, especially if the relationship feels one-sided. But when you release the need for their approval or constant interaction, something powerful happens. You start living on your own terms. Your mood doesn't rise or fall based on a text reply or the tone of a conversation. That emotional neutrality is not coldness, it's control. It's knowing that your peace isn't up for negotiation. You stop reacting and start responding. You show restraint. You're no longer trying to fix, explain, or chase. And ironically, this space allows her to feel something she might not have felt in a while: respect. When a man fully owns his life without needing reassurance, he becomes unpredictable in the best way. He's not moved by drama. He's not easily shaken. He's calm in the chaos. That kind of presence is rare, and it often sparks something primal in women. They begin to question what changed. They wonder if you've outgrown the dynamic. They feel a void where your emotional dependency used to be, and that absence can be louder than any words. This doesn't mean becoming indifferent or cruel. It means becoming deeply rooted in who you are and what you're building. When she realizes she's no longer the center of your emotional universe, she'll either level up to meet your energy or watch you move on from the sidelines. Either way, you win. One of the most powerful things that happens when you stop giving a damn is that you naturally stop over-investing in situations and people that don't invest back. This change shifts the entire dynamic of how others perceive and treat you. Women, in particular, are incredibly sensitive to a man's energy, especially when he's trying too hard, proving too much, or constantly seeking validation. That energy screams insecurity, and while it may go unnoticed consciously, subconsciously, it pushes her away. When you take a step back and stop overgiving, you're making a bold statement. I know my value, and I won't spend my time proving it. That kind of self-respect is magnetic. It tells her and the world that your love, attention, and presence aren't cheap. They have to be earned, not by playing games, but by simply holding yourself to a higher standard. You stop showing up for people who don't show up for you. You stop replying instantly to mixed signals. You stop rearranging your priorities to fit into her life while she barely adjusts hers to fit into yours. This doesn't mean withholding affection or playing hard to get. It means aligning your actions with your standards. It means moving from a place of purpose, not desperation. And when you live this way, something interesting happens. She feels the shift. She notices that the energy has changed, that the chase is no longer one-sided in her favor. That intrigue pulls her in far more than constant availability ever could. You create space for her to step up or step out, and whichever she chooses, you remain centered. Because you're no longer investing more than you receive. You've stopped giving a damn, not out of bitterness, but out of growth. That's when respect, desire, and admiration follow naturally.